Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about the team bonuses and specific skills that you can take advantage of by manipulating your team bonuses. But before we get started, I'm wearing headphones for the first time, I think, ever in a video, or like the second time ever. So I'm actually curious, does it matter to you guys? Do you care if I wear headphones or not? Does my voice sound different? And just let me know your opinion on it. So my ears were cold. Let's just say that's why I'm wearing these ear muffins, whatever they're called. Anyways, moving on to the team bonus topic. Now, this is something that I realized when I was trying to min-max the output of Gambit's 5th skill. So this is not something that actually applies to every character, despite the fact that every character has at least one team bonus. I'm not talking about the actual stats of the team bonuses, or I'm not talking about, finding a team bonus that has the maximum number of bonuses, like, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Iron Man, or Captain America, Iron Man, and Winter Soldier, something like that, where there's like 3, 4, 5. I'm not talking about these. I'm actually talking about when you put specific characters together in a team, they will do specific attacks, and the attacks that they'll do are actually denoted next to the character's icon. And so if you put this team together, White Fox, Blue Marvel, and Captain Marvel, when you're playing as Captain Marvel, she'll always do her 5th skill when you do the co-op team up. And so I'll give you a really quick example of why this is actually important, not only for veterans, but also for new players. And this is why it may seem like such a mundane thing, or it may seem like such an obvious thing, but take a difficult stage like Stage 40 Cull Obsidian, and then apply the following team. And I'm not kidding, we're going to use Gambit this time. I know how much you guys love watching me play as Gambit for the millionth time. We're going to use Ebony Maw for the leadership and the small bonus, but then instead of using like Shuri or another expensive support type, we're actually going to use, I kid you not, Bullseye. And we're using Bullseye because the all attack is excellent, but really the main bonus here is that Gambit will do his 5th skill on every single co-op. And I will kind of escalate, and I will overemphasize this by putting 5 command strikers. Now, this is not the optimal setup. I just want to show you guys, I want to exaggerate my point here. The optimal setup would be like, Deadpool, Scarlet Witch, Invisible Woman, Sharon Rogers, and Anti-Venom. But I'm going to use these 5 right here, and we're going to jump in. And so every single time that the co-op skill is available, I can do it for an additional 5th skill. And it's guaranteed every single time. And so that, for someone like Gambit, actually exponentially increases his damage output, because all of his damage is centered around one particular skill. So he does his 5th skill, it does good damage, and I immediately hit the co-op skill, and I basically get another 5th skill back to back. And then I can do the 5th skill again with my own internal cooldown. And you can kind of see how this gets to be pretty nutty. So we've got our 5th skill right there. We can do that, and then we can just go back to back. In this case, we're going back to back to back with 5th skills, and it just continues this way. And this is an easy way to clear this stage. I'm only using one striker. I'm only using one kind of, of course Gambit himself is a premium character, but I'm only using one premium support character in Ebony Maw, and he's honestly not even that premium. You can have him, as long as you have him at 6 stars, level 60 with gear 5. It's all about having the uniform to take advantage of those 2 buffs. The one from the leadership and the one from the uniform for the entire team. But you can see that the damage output is insane. I've melted through so many bars, 5 bars or 6 bars or whatever it is in a minute. And this is extremely effective. And this is hands down a better support than someone like Ghost, than someone like Cyclops, even Warwolf. And it's probably even better than having a second support there like Shuri, or it's as good. And being able to say that you're actually building up Bullseye just to make Gambit better is actually pretty wild. Now, just to be clear, you don't need to get Deadpool. You don't need to get Bullseye's uniform. You don't need to tier 2 Bullseye. You don't even need to get him. You just need to get him to level 66 stars. I don't know if he can be level, no, he can't be level 1. So yeah, he can be level 1. I don't know if you can do level 1 6 stars. It's been so long since I've had a level 1 6-star character. But you don't need to build him up at all. He just needs to be there. He needs to exist on the team to allow Gambit to basically shit on his opponents. And there's one other team up specifically for Gambit that also allows this, and this is Rogue and Magneto. The only reason why I point this one out is because Magneto can be used as a leadership, so this does offer most of the same benefits as the previous team I just showed you with Ebony and Bullseye, because you still get the 5th skill and you still get the 45% buff to his damage. You just don't get that extra support buff that Ebony Maw has with his uniform. But this is a nice budget version of the build that I just showed you. And again, you don't have to tier 2 either of these characters. They just need to be 6 stars, both, so that they can go into the World Boss mission with Gambit. But it doesn't stop with Gambit. There's a few other characters that I want to point out that have this valuable effect that actually can bump up their damage. Gambit is probably the best example of this in the game, because his damage is just so insane on his 5th skill, and his other skills just pale in comparison. So he is by far the outlier and the kind of best example of this kind of situation. But there are some other ones that you can take advantage of that are going to have similar results. The first one that I want to talk about as well is Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, of course, one of her best skills is her 5th skill. It's not her best skill. Her best skill in terms of damage is 4, but her 5th skill is crucial because it buffs her 4th skill and all of her other skills. It gives her a guard hit, it gives her insane buffs, but the problem with Radiant Form is that it's on a 35-second cooldown, and so because of that, you can't get it to trigger for the entire duration of the fight, because it's only for 10 seconds, and it's on a 17-second or 17.5-second cooldown, so you've got about 7 seconds gap there. Well, if you use Captain Marvel in a team-up along with, you could use these two. The reason why I don't point out these kinds of combos or these kinds of team-ups with Iron Man is because there's no good leadership. There's no offensive leadership here. Of course, White Fox is great with Captain Marvel because of the 60%, and I guess you could use Captain Marvel's leadership. So this is actually these both are both viable options here. But the one that I wanted to point out to you was, I usually like to focus on the 2-man teams because it allows more flexibility for the 3rd character in case you need to carry someone for their potential, or as part of an unlocking bonus for the stage requirements, like getting to stage 20, you have to unlock characters on stage 19 or 29 or 39 or whatever. So I want to point out Nick Fury. He's a better leadership than Captain Marvel. He's got the crazy support buffs, and he also has the 5th skill with her, and so you can trigger your 5th skill on the kind of in betweens when it's not active from your main skill, and you can have Radiant Form up for the vast majority of the battle, which is quite impressive. Another option would be also to use Iron Man and have that 4th skill, so you could spam that more often. That's more offensive related. I don't think it's as useful as having the 5th skill, because the 5th skill is a pretty good way to defend yourself as well with the guard hit. But those two team ups, as well as the first team up here, Ultimate Call, are both decent options to augment Captain Marvel's power even more and allow you to be in Radiant Form even more often. Another example of this that I have for you guys that I want to point out is Sharon Rogers and White Fox. Now, the two of them are already a great pair because of the fact that Sharon Rogers has leadership as an ability, and so she gets 60% bonus from White Fox. But more importantly than that, when you pair the two of them together, Sharon Rogers will always do her 3rd skill, and that's really important because survivability is what she lacks, not damage. And so you can get extra 3rd skills when you use the co-op ability when you have them together, and that won't leave you vulnerable as longer. Now, I know you're going to see other characters along here, like, for example, Cynicalex, why didn't you suggest Luna Snow? Luna Snow and Sharon Rogers are great together. This is kind of overkill. Having to bring along Luna Snow into battle with Sharon Rogers just so that Sharon Rogers does her 3rd skill on the co-op is kind of a waste of Luna Snow. And so I'm trying to use characters, and I'm trying to point out situations in which you can take advantage of other synergies that you already want. For example, Captain Marvel and Nick Fury with those synergy bonuses for the support and leadership, and you also get an insane buff. If I have to bring a super OP character along, or if I have to spend money or years farming Blue Marvel's bios just to get a 5th skill bonus, it's really not efficient or effective or even an intelligent way of using these 3 characters in combination with each other. So I want to point that out. I'm really going for the most logical and the most optimal situations here, and with particular emphasis for World Boss, because you can't use the co-op skill in every game mode. Another option another setup that applied to a lot of people for a long time was using Thor and Medusa. And the reason why we used Thor and Medusa for Extreme Alliance Battle was because not only does she provide him with a 36 or 42% team up or leadership effect, but also when you team them up, Thor does his 5th skill. And like Gambit, the vast majority of Thor's damage comes from his 5th skill. So this is a really easy team up that new players can take advantage of as well to get extra 5th skills, excuse me, out of Thor to do more damage with Thor. Now, and Thor kind of has some uniqueness in this list as well because he has so many team ups. He's probably one of the characters with the most activated team bonuses in the game. So a couple of other options if you don't want to necessarily use Medusa. Jean Grey has one of the best leaderships in the game. He also does his 5th skill when paired up with Jean Grey, and he has a nice energy attack dodge team bonus. Yeah, Thor is there, or Hulk is there as well, but the team up is not as good, and Thor and Hulk don't really have good synergy. As well, you have some 3-team team up bonuses for Thor that do general solid work in different game modes. So the first one I want to point out to you guys is this one, Odin's Anguish. This is especially good for GBR, Giant Boss Raid, because you get all of the bonuses of this full team, and we can set it now so you can see. You get all of these bonuses. You get Odin's leadership so you don't get debuffed. You get Valkyrie's support to augment Thor's damage. And then as you saw there, when you have this activated bonus, you can't do the team up skill for GBR specifically, but if you used it in any other game mode like World Boss, you would get that juicy 5th skill bonus damage. Now, Odin's not a very good leadership for World Boss, but it does have some flexibility. Additionally, you can use Thor along with just Wiccan, because Wiccan provides a 24% attack bonus as well as a 20% ignore dodge when you have him at tier 2, so that's another option. And then you can also use Thor with Iron Hammer and Iron Man, and this is the other one that's quite interesting that I wanted to point out to you guys, because some of you will have questions about the team bonuses and how it affects the actual skill that's being used. So this team up here is good because it's easy to get all 3 of these characters. Iron Hammer has an excellent noob-friendly leadership for Thor. You get all of these team up bonuses, and of course you get the coveted Thor 5th skill. However, here's the interesting thing. When you have multiple team up bonuses stacked on top of each other, some people might wonder, well, Thor does his 4th skill when he's teamed up with Iron Hammer, and then he does his 5th skill when he's teamed up with both. So in this case, what the testing shows is that if you have this 3-team team up bonus, these 3 skills will take precedence over these skills. So Iron Man doesn't have to worry because he always does 5. Iron Hammer will change from doing 2 to actually doing 5, and then Thor, instead of doing 4, will also do 5. But then there's another situation that can arise where you don't have any 3-team team-up bonuses, but you do have multiple 2-team team-up bonuses, and I want to point this out as well. In this case, I want to use Iron Man, and I'm going to use Iron Man with Ghost and Iron Hammer. Now, they don't have a 3-team team-up bonus, the 3 of them, but they do have two team-up bonuses. We have 2-piece suit for Iron Man and Iron Hammer, and Ghost Story for Ghost and Iron Man. So if you set the team to these 3 characters, and let me go and find Ghost now so I can slap him on as well, you get both of the bonuses. Now, if you're wondering which skill Iron Man is going to do, is he going to do his 2nd skill or is he going to do his 5th skill? Because there's a huge difference there, and that's why Iron Man is another good character to use in this example. The vast majority of Iron Man's damage and his best survivability with the immunity comes from his 5th skill. Well, it matters who the leader is. So in this case, Ghost is the best leadership because she applies a 50% all attack bonus to Technokinetic, and Iron Man is Technokinetic because he's a machine type. So you want that 50% absolutely. However, because Ghost is the leadership, now Iron Man will do his 2nd skill on the co-op team up. So in this case, if you wanted Iron Man to do his 5th skill on the co-op team up, you would have to use Iron Hammer as the leadership. In this case, because he's now the leadership, this one takes precedence, and now you've got the 5th skill active. I think if you use Iron Man, he just does the 2nd skill most of the time, which is kind of annoying. But that is the case of conflicting team-up bonuses when it comes to the actual team-up skill. And so I wanted to focus a video on that. I wanted to point this out to you guys because I think it's really cool, and it's something that I think is underused in Marvel Future Fight. It's not taken advantage of both by new players and veterans. I can attest to the fact that I basically never gave a shit about what team-up skills characters used except for Thor and ABX, specifically for Medusa, and I was only doing that because I was told by my Alliance members that it gave a better score. But then I started experimenting with Gambit, and I went down the rabbit hole, and here we are. The last one I want to point out to you guys before I give you some last-minute kind of speculation and suggestions for Netmarble is Cable. Cable, like Gambit, does the vast majority of his damage from his 5th skill. Now, Cable's a bit different than Gambit because you want to chain attacks together. You don't just want to do 5 by itself, but even doing 5 by itself for Cable is decent damage a lot of the time. And so Cable actually has 2 team-ups that make him quite flexible to use his 5th skill consistently. The first one is using his dad and his brother. We got Cyclops and Strife here. This is a pretty expensive team-up, but Cyclops can be a leadership and a support, and Strife can also be a leadership for a GBR. There is no co-op in GBR, but I'm just saying. And then that will let Cable do his 5th skill on a team-up. Additionally, when you pair him up with his fake mom, his biological mother, he also does his 5th skill, and you get a nice energy attack bonus team-up. Last but not least, I wanted to say that upon further kind of exploration and experimentation with this team skill kind of system and this architecture in Marvel Future Fight, I think that it's excellent. But I think that, like Marvel Contest of Champions and like other games, that there is such a gap, and there's such an untapped potential for additional synergy bonuses that can come out of putting specific characters on a team together. Now, unlike Strike Force or unlike Contest of Champions, Marvel Future Fight has the smallest roster for a team. You know, Contest of Champions is, I think, 5 characters. Strike Force is also 5, I think. And, of course, Future Fight is only 3. But still, you can have synergies that offer effects beyond simply stat bonuses. So, for example, putting Minerva and Korath together, we're getting the Members of Star Force buff. Riveting stuff. What happens if they would apply buffs that were beyond simply stats? So one example would be, what happens if I use 3 Hulk characters? So I use She-Hulk, Hulk, and Red Hulk, and they have a team up already. Or let's say, or we can even use Amadeus Cho, going green, or Hulk and Bulk. It doesn't really matter. What if, when we set this team, in addition to all of these buffs, or possibly instead, these buffs would be transformed into a different buff? And let's say that buff was, or that kind of team bonus stat was, double all of the healing that each of the characters gets from all sources. So it would basically take the recovery rate stat and it would multiply it by 2. Or it would just double whatever the healing number was at the end, which is more than double of the recovery rate. What if they did that, for example? What if they had team bonuses that allowed characters to penetrate who couldn't normally penetrate? You know, penetrate, super armor, shield, invincibility, immunity. What if they had team up bonuses that allowed characters to revive? What if they had team up bonuses that gave characters, or gave the whole team, guaranteed dodge or guaranteed crit, or some sort of heal, some sort of fracture effect if they wanted to shut down healers? You could build kind of counter teams to a particularly prevalent meta. So if you're getting slaughtered by Deadpools, you could build a team of characters that, when they're situated with each other, you know, Wolverine and 2 other characters, then you call them like the Deadpool killing squad, and they have some sort of bonus where all of their attacks apply fracture. So now suddenly you've augmented your team with an additional bonus that they wouldn't get individually, and it creates so much more of an emphasis on building up actual teams of characters rather than just always going, oh, okay, this guy is the top DPS, so I'm going to build him. This is second best DPS, I'm going to build him. No, encourage people to build fringe characters like frickin' Bullseye, because he's good with paid, expensive meta characters like Gambit. So let me know what you guys think of that. That's probably one of the more interesting things that I've come up with lately, and I'm actually very excited about it because it has so much potential to bring bad characters out of the shadows without even necessarily having to rework them. Now, I do also want bad characters to be reworked, but even in that case, not every character can be good. So at least giving bad characters an opportunity to make good characters better, and basically creating that sense of teamwork within the structure of a 3-person team, 3-hero team, actually makes me so excited for the future of Marvel Future Fight. So let me know what you guys think. Hit me up with your thoughts on the team bonuses. Thanks for watching, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.